Man finds a scratched warning on river rock, translates it, and gets frightened for his generation. Over 100 years ago, a German innkeeper realized his life was devastated. Before sailing out on his small raft onto the Elbe River, in what is now the Czech Republic, the man engraved a warning into the side of a rock. He was terrified for future generations. Years have passed, and in 2018, modern scientists have discovered this strange, ominous message. But by that time, it was far too late. Vlastimil Pazurek extremely loved the history of his hometown when he was a child. He worked as a head of the local museum and knew even the smallest details about Děčín, Czech Republic. When his phone rang out of the blue, his ideal image of his favorite town was crushed down. Vlastimil was horrified at what fate had in store for his beloved hometown. The man put on his jacket and leaped forward towards the Elbe River on his bicycle as soon as possible. Once he reached the bank, there were already some people staring into the river. Vlastimil met a local fisherman's gaze, and the expression on his face said it all without the words. There were several stories about strange things turning up in the river, but only a few of them have scared the citizens to death. For instance, recently dangerous munitions from World War II had started to emerge, but it was just the beginning of something much bigger and way more dangerous. This time, it wasn't just an unexploded bomb. It was a thing that would mean way more horrific consequences for everyone living in Děčín. The locals have finally found the message a German innkeeper desperately scratched 100 years ago. But what did he write? Why were people so scared when reading his warning? With the help of the fisherman, Vlastimil waded through the water to read the ominous message by himself. The levels of water were lower than usual and revealed the phrase, "Wenn du mich siehst, dann weine," that innkeeper Franz Mayer had written in 1904. Had he spoken German, he'd have soon realized what danger both he and the fisherman were in. The man didn't have phones to translate the German phrase, and the local people also didn't speak this language. Yet there was one man on the bank who offered his help and translated the message. When Vlastimil heard it, he froze as a chill ran down his spine. The Elbe is a valuable point for Děčín. Until the 1990s, over 5 million various products were imported and exported along its waters. Nowadays, there are barely 1 million tons of goods sent along this river. The German message explained that as it meant, "If you can see me, then weep." Two men in the river were confused as they didn't know what to think. Was there something dangerous in the water they should worry about? But then everything puzzled out. Vlastimil found out what this message was talking about. The man was actually aware of the dangers Děčín faced, but being in the middle of its waters instilled quite an uneasy feeling. There was even a group of citizens who wanted to do something about it, but intervening with the old river didn't sound like a good idea. Turning back to the message, its mission was to warn the future generation of the low water levels. The lower they would be, the more devastating the local fishing and trade communities would become. This message from the past made the locals feel even more anxious about the forthcoming lack of water. They'd come up with a controversial idea to build a weir on the river before. The problem of low water level had been causing a lot of difficulties for years. Yet the environmental groups were against it, as they stated that interfering with the flow of water could cause inevitable damage. Meanwhile, even more messages from the past continued to emerge. The water levels had been continuing to drop, and 20 similar rocks, named the Hunger Stones, had appeared from the river. The oldest rock is dated back to 1616, serving as a warning signal of the level of danger people may face, and no one knew that better than Vlastimil. Over the centuries, many people earned their living on the Elbe as rafters, the man told AFP. And when there wasn't enough water to float their rafts, they lost their livelihoods. The rafters engraved the dates of those bad years on the soft sandstone boulders typical for this region, hence the name Hunger Stone, he added. But don't think that locals haven't done anything about it. They've deepened and rerouted the river with 9 dams to keep the Děčín people safe and sound. How would you react when finding a mysterious message from the past scratched on the rock of the river? Would you panic or instantly realize it's an indicator of upcoming famine?